So, in this episode, we're not going to discuss animal crackers, but I'd be curious, do you ever buy the animal crackers in the actual bear, or are you boring as crap and you just buy them in a bag? The bear is far more interesting. Adam, today we're going to be talking about kind of a part two. Nick and I discussed this on Friday, so I'm sure it'll be released soon. But the amount of carriers exiting the market is unprecedented. It's almost a full on 4 year retraction back to where we were about 4 years ago. And I know 4 years ago you were repping a single carrier and building an agency from a different perspective. But I want to talk today about the inconsistency and the from the agent force that's led a lot of these carriers to be retracting themselves from the market. So how's that sound for today's conversation?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I was building an agency internally with
Mm-hmm.
one carrier, but I really learned a lot about like the internal side of the business while I was there. So that's where, I can really see both sides of the story, both sides of the equation, I guess you could say, of what's important to a company to be profitable and to remain in the business and what's important to agents, kind of the same thing, where I think it kind of is like a two-sided coin, you know but yeah, that's one thing with, like I said, I've always told people, it's good, at least with me, I mean, I can kind of see both sides of the story of what's important and what it's going to take to last in the business from a company perspective and also from an agent perspective.
Yeah, I think that even that carrier released a new product which is relatively more liberal and accepts more people and first day coverage, but in the process of doing that priced themselves to a part of the market that makes it almost uncomfortable to write in some cases.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and again, I mean, I don't know. I think that, well, I've always said people can really be successful anywhere if they want to
Mhm.
be. Um, but yeah, for a broker agent, I honestly, I don't really feel like that product is designed for like the broker agent. I think it's probably more for like a, semi-captive sort of opportunity.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's probably something to do with leads involved. I don't know if they're financing leads anymore or not, but I mean, I'm sure that there's something to that. I mean, I've always said, I mean, there's successful companies out there that they have the highest rates out there, but they also have a lot more to offer agents as well. If they have underwriting that can insure just about anybody and they're helping agents with leads and the agents have no reason to have to write that business somewhere else, it can work. And
Mhm.
that's, I know a couple companies that they put up a fair amount of premium every month, and that's their focus is just the career agents. So I think the model works, but you got to kind of focus on the type of people that you're recruiting, or you need to know the type of people you're looking to recruit. It's not really like this sort of model where you're going to go after people who are already in the business. I think you need to go after people that are brand new or people that aren't even licensed yet. Uh, People that are already in the business, it's just like they all kind of already have the broker mentality. So,
Mhm.
yeah, like I said, I mean, there's systems out there that work. From a broker standpoint, yeah, the rates are high. They're not competitive, and I'm sure there's better options when it comes to what a broker agent could find for their clients.
Yeah, they're definitely well, price isn't everything. And I think what
Yeah.
we're going to see in some of these carriers that exited the market, at least one of them will reemerge with a significantly higher priced product with more restrictions and more ways to limit distribution, but not be off the market forever. But pricing does have a lot to do with things. I think what has a lot to do with things too, we talked about on your long form training this morning, consistency is agents doing inconsistent things. Like for 4 years, we've had products on the market that are incredibly easy to write, e-applications, instance decision, paid next day. But agents were being inconsistent with their work ethic. And as soon as they became inconsistent, they start cutting corners, like putting in bad bank accounts and thinking to themselves, well, maybe they weren't even thinking. But what ends up happening is their harm they've done to the business has led to us in the business now dealing with less companies because doing unethical and shady shit did harm to these products because they weren't designed to expect that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's a combination of agents writing bad business and also agents spreading their business out all over the place. And honestly, that's not a good thing. Like these companies, like I said, I kind of know from being on the internal side, like they don't want the niche business. Like they want to do what they can to earn all of an agent's business or at least a good portion of it. So when agents are primarily using a carrier like the one that came out today, what, Wellaby,
Yeah,
Great
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 Western, rest
Western.
in peace.
I mean, I would
Mhm.
say probably 90% of agents are only using them for guaranteed issue. What
Direct
kind of
express guaranteed
business?
issue, like the
Yeah.
worst quality.
Yeah, like what kind of business are you giving this place? You're giving them your garbage. Honestly, you're
Mhm.
giving them business that if the person see what happens, Chris, it's not just like a 2-year or a 3-year waiting period. That's not what's harming the company. It's those people that make it just past that 2-year waiting period and then die.
Mhm.
Where they, just made it over the 24 months or just made it past the 36 months. Though that's
Mhm.
what harms those companies. But the more that you're bringing in that poor quality business, the more risk that's there. That's what's happening. A lot of people, they're just making it past the 24 months, and then the company's held accountable for those claims. And when agents are only giving you that business, along with, like you said, like the direct express. I was talking to one of my agents last week, and I said, there's a reason these carriers are doing away with direct express business. There's only like one left, I think, that is going to be taking it, one or two. And it's not good business. So I even told my agent, I'm like, we should probably just not even write that business anymore. Like if someone if someone pulls out that card, it's probably not even worth our time. Because if it's the companies see it, they see it's not good quality business.
Well, maybe
And I almost feel like a lot of the business I write, if it's direct express, it's I'd say 50-50 chance that it's gonna fall off after the first or second payment.
interestingly enough, I had somebody run the data and share it with me. I didn't run the data, they did. That Transamerica has like a 80 to 90% persistency rate on direct express business, and the carrier you're describing has about a
Wow.
20% success rate on direct express
Huh.
business. And they both purport to use true Social Security billing, and I believe them, but Transamerica is just ironically better at it. Weirdly enough, like even if you have to write somebody Transamerica modified because they're on Direct Express, it's more reliable than the other alternative. And that alternative may not be around for much longer either. I mean, some products have a
Yeah.
shelf life. Like they're good for about 5 to 6 to 7 years, and that was it. That's all they were built to expect. But some products, I think what we're also not factoring in, maybe we are, is that there's expenses in the underwriting, even if it's automated underwriting. So somebody places a piece of business that never sticks on the books, the carrier still have to pay for MIB to their for the underwriting to run. They still
Yep.
have to pay for the underwriting engine. They still have to pay for the like say you submit an application on iPipeline, the carriers billed for that. There's like all of these little micro expenses in each application. And if that application doesn't pan out, let alone make it to year 6 where it starts to become profitable for the carrier, that's where they have these issues.
Oh yeah. And that's do you think that I don't know, are there many carriers that pay that close of an eye on quality of business where they might say we need a certain percent of first day coverage and you can only have a certain percentage direct express, a certain percentage modified? Like, I mean, I think that would be something that probably could protect a carrier if they did do something like that, where they would just tell an agent, look at like you got to start writing more first day coverage business with us, or we're not going to let you write the modified or the guaranteed issue.
Well, Sedler's Life back in the day had a 3-tiered product. Well, technically it was 4 tiers. They had a gold, silver, and a bronze product. And the gold was like a 5-year look back, very price competitive kind of product. And this is back during the phone interview days, like no e-applications, none. They had a full tele application. Talk about a lengthy process to get someone freaking covered, 25 minutes on the phone. They had a bronze or a silver was like standard 2-year look back, no height and weights, like some weird, very useful niches to it. Then they had a bronze product. And as long as you weren't actively dying or had HIV or were like 2 or 3 criteria, very minimum, like near guaranteed issue, you could qualify for their bronze. And their bronze also had limited pay options, which was insane. Like you could be very ill and qualify for like a bronze 20 pay, which made a lot of sense. But they only wanted a certain percent of bronze business. Like they wanted all of your business. But if you weren't giving them like a 1-to-4 ratio, then they would have a problem with you. They were small enough to notice that type of stuff. Trinity and Family Benefit, in their heyday, phone interview, kind of old school on purpose. They're trying to limit the amount of business because who wants to do a phone interview? If you did a certain amount of direct express business with them and you didn't do any bank paying business with them, they would cut that off. But they were small enough to notice these kind of analytics. I don't know if the bigger companies notice, but they're obviously taking notice now if they've made these quick decisions to pull products with single day notice or 3-month notice or situations like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Like just recently, all these different, like we were just talking about, the one announcement that came out today, one last Friday, and it's sad. I mean, not only is it sad because heck, there are just less products that are available out there, but one thing that the agents don't really think about, I mean, there's people losing their jobs too over this stuff. That's sad. People that are working at the home office that are trying to earn a good living and now they're out of a job. So, but again, I think a lot of it too has to do with some of the companies maybe just not keeping up with things when it comes to different trends of what's working and what's not, and what agents are looking for when it comes to maybe the simplicity of writing business. When it comes to having like a instant decision e-app, most companies, most agents, they don't want to have to write a piece of business and then sit around and wait to find out whether that it's going to get approved or not. Where you don't find out for like a day or two. Like people want to know right then and there. If it doesn't work, at least then you can shift to another, option that's available.
The issue is that all of this, which is partly fraud based, like part of the reason these products are being pulled, is that it's fraud. Like it's full on fraud. And Great Western, Wellaby, rest in peace, literally put it in their messaging. Continued low taken rates. That means you're writing bad quality business, not you, but you, who's not even watching this. Yeah. Billing issues. They knew that they needed true Social Security billing. Middle management told them. Upper management wasn't willing to do it. Poor persistency and fraud were indicative of a product not well suited to meeting the needs of their brand. Fraud. Like these carriers are going to begin to limit how we write business and make it harder and more complicated and more 2017 phone interview related and biometric related. They're going to make it harder on us to do the business because we haven't been, not we, but they haven't been doing the business properly for 4 years. So as much as we like an instant decision and an easy application and a 5 to 7 minute process, if we're putting garbage in and garbage is coming back out, they're going to take that away.
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, I remember, just same thing, dealing on the internal side with agents and fraud and just things like that. We'd always be trying to come up with ways to prevent that. That's probably the biggest killer when it comes to, the debt and, agents just figuring out shortcuts. I mean, I don't know. Got to figure out a way to make it, I don't know, maybe not harder on agents, but harder to shortcut things, harder to prevent the bad people from doing bad things. I know agents don't like phone interviews, but if it's necessary, it's necessary. If it means losing a product or doing a phone interview, I'd be cool doing the phone interview. Carrier I've been using right now for a bit. Same thing. I mean, heck, if they said we're gonna start doing phone verifications, I'd be okay with it because I'm doing stuff the right way. I mean, if that means it's going to take an extra 5 minutes to get on the phone for the client to say, yes, I want to move forward with this. Well, that just protects me too. A lot of agents don't think of it that way, but it protects the good people when they're doing stuff the right way, to maybe take that extra step. And heck, if it's recorded on the line that the person went through and they answer the questions, it's just protecting you even from issues when it comes to a death claim.
Yeah, it's interesting. Nick had an idea on the episode that'll be released coming soon, that if it was phone business or it wasn't signature verified business, then it's priced more expensive to protect the carrier because it's obviously of a poor quality business. And there's a lot of talking heads that are arguing that their business isn't as bad as Telesales claims to be. I believe Jeff Root because he tracks data like crazy. But I mean, what's different in these last 4 years than the prior 4 years, where we had a massive release of products, now a massive constriction of products? What's the difference? It's telesales. It really is. It's a massive push toward telesales, a massive push towards massive recruiting. It's a massive push towards not just telesales, but work from home telesales and virtual. Like, you're not a hologram. I don't understand virtual. What does that mean? And that was never, in my opinion, priced into the actuarial model. Like, these products were all released, Adam, right around 2020. Like, they were all built into CSO tables pre-COVID. Then a bunch of people died. Then a bunch of people start selling over the phone. Then a bunch of people start doing fraud. That's the difference in the last 4 years.
Yeah, wow. I think. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. The telesales. I mean, because historically, telesales has always had much poor quality of business. And, persistency wise has always been worse. Sales over the phone, the company I was with for 7 years. I mean, we did not offer telesales until COVID came around. We didn't offer it because we knew the quality of business wasn't as good. We wanted to protect that quality of business, protect the profitability. And, that's a good point. Since 2020, now everybody pretty much offers telesales, and you're right. I think maybe a lot of these companies have opened themselves up to a lot more fraud if they're not set up properly when it comes to the e-apps and getting things done the right way. And I mean, the carrier, CFG that left on Friday, I know their e-app, they had a telesales process. I don't think most of the people were even using it because, I've seen their app. I wrote some business with them on their e-app where, I would be in a home and we would do the app, and all the person would have to do would be to type their name in. How hard would it be for an agent to just type the name in over the phone and just say that they did it face to face? Unless they're checking the IPs and all that stuff. Yeah.
Some do check that. Some do check that. I've seen agents get terminated over it, and they weren't doing anything wrong, but it was gray enough of an area that when they got caught doing it, there was no forgiveness. And these carriers, the problem is when you get caught doing something wrong, there's no progressive discipline. There's no mediation and final expense. There's no negotiation. Like, if compliance gets a hold of it and it's not compliant, you're done. And there's other products you can sell. It's not the end of your career per se, but this isn't a corporate position where you're going to get called into the department and have a negotiation about it and a retraining and a counseling session. It's done. And it's going to become more and more prevalent with that because these companies are accountable to reinsurance companies that are going to tell them, I'm not going to reinsure this block of business because this block of business is trash. This is not going to be profitable for us, and we're done. And when they say they're done, they can't self-insure themselves, and they're done.
Yeah. Well, I remember, one of those big telesales agencies, like right when COVID came around, that they were really pushing on kind of all over the place. They have like their own design product with American Amicable, and that product, the rates are higher. The rates are higher. Like, someone could talk to one of those agents over the phone and take out a policy, and they're going to be paying more than if I were to show up at their house and write just a standard American Amicable policy. So, and I think that because that was kind of all incorporated in with it, with persistency, the fact that maybe the rates needed to be higher. I think there might even be a few other companies that had higher rates if it was a phone sale. Maybe that's something that some of the carriers should look into. If the process is done over the phone, maybe it needs to be done a certain way. Maybe the rates would be a little bit higher. Maybe it'd be a separate product for telesales to the product for in-home sales. If the telesales is greatly affecting the business, you either need to make adjustments or, well, you don't want to lose the whole thing. But I also don't think that it should affect the in-home agents. If in-home sales, there really isn't much of a persistency issue.
I also think that over the course of the last 4 to 5 years, there's been a significant bell curve shift as social media has become more prevalent, where you had a lot of jersey wearing independent IMOs, the 3 to 4 letter IMOs of the world, where you did, or the career model where you did all your business with them and you succeeded or you failed, you rose or you fall. It was all done under that umbrella. And then over the course of the last 4 to 5 years, I think the mindset shifted in a lot of agents' eyes where they were independent and they could have a contract here and a contract clear, one with him, one with her, and then as soon as they started having debt with this company, they just stopped writing that company with that certain upline. And that hurts the business too. Like when there isn't enough continuality with the hierarchy, then the whole system doesn't work right. If all of a sudden everybody in the neighborhood all of a sudden became polygamist, well, the whole thing would be weird. Like the whole like everyone can afford their own house, but then it wouldn't work. And I think in a lot of ways, the industry went from very homogenous and monogamous to very polyamorous quickly, and that probably didn't help the quality of business either.
Yeah, you're right. Well, like I said, I don't know. It's overall, I think it's sad. What's happening. It's I guess the company I was with too. They raised their rates, but that's keeping them in business. I think maybe they saw the trends of what was happening. They saw the fact that there was a good chance that other companies would be raising their rates. Maybe other companies didn't raise their rates and maybe they needed to, but they were afraid to. And now, now they're just not even around anymore. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so much, there's so much on the internal side, but I think at the end of the day, if agents want there to be good tools and good products out there, you got to write good quality business, and and don't just give one carrier all of your bad business, or that product's not going to be around for long.
Yeah, I remember when old Transamerica was a thing and I wrote the balls out of it. And it was a tough product to write because it was a long application and every page almost needed a signature. Almost every page did. And every I needed to be crossed and every T needed to be done. And if it wasn't done right, they bounced it back to you. But if you knew how to work it, it was an ultra competitive product with ultra liberal underwriting. And I would catch every so often an agent clean sheeting this product. And I was pissed off because I thought to myself, and this is 2016, 2017, pre 3-letter IMO that probably caused a lot of this damage. I'm thinking to myself, they're going to mess this up. Like you're going to keep sending them garbage and you're going to mess this up for me. And I was more mad at the agent than anything else because I knew that they were going to mess up the quality of a product that was really, really good at the time, which eventually came off the market.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard of some IMOs even that I think there was a carrier that would advance a commission on a policy that you would write on yourself. So they would encourage the agent to write the business, write a policy on yourself. That'll get you some money for some leads. I mean, talk about a way to set up for poor quality business right out the gate. Like agents that don't make it, they order like one set of leads, they don't write anything, and then they're canceling the policy that they just recently took out, and they don't care about the chargeback or any of that stuff. They're out of the business. Just so much unethical practices out there, and a lot of it I think is trained. These presentations, someone sent me a presentation once and I looked at it and it was just the whole client says, I got to think about it. Oh, there's nothing to think about. We just need to see if we can get you enrolled. We got to see if we can, we don't even know if you'll be approved yet. We got to see if we can get you approved. Well,
Oh,
what does it take to get approved? Well, the person has to provide their banking information, their social, like they're taking out a policy. Like they're not, you can't just fill out an app with the intention of finding out if the person's going to be approved. But they were doing that with kind of like sneakily. So then the client was just kind of stuck. Or again, poor persistency, because then the client's like, well, never mind. I didn't want that policy anyways.
hmm
They didn't realize what they were doing when they provided that information, but just so many unethical practices that maybe even are trained out there. I think definitely has affected the industry and agents that are in and out of the business, and has caused a lot of debt. It was so, it's wonderful for an IMO to put up all these big numbers and talk about the millions in premium they're doing, but I'd love to see the persistency. What's your guys' persistency?
yeah.
Uh, how much is falling off the books? I think that's probably more important than what's showing up on the books.
Yeah, a lot of these submit numbers look nice on social media, but that doesn't reflect profitability by any means. The
Yeah.
moral of the story, I think, as we look to wrap up here in that 30-minute mark, is we got to do a better job. We got to train a better job. You have to do a better job. And if that, not you, but like you, the viewer, if the product comes off the market, we also can't panic. There are plenty of options. It's not like there's only one or two things left to write. For God's sake, calm down. There are other things that we can write. New products coming out this fall, still to be released. No reason to panic. There are still things to sell, but this is a challenge to some, and a challenge is nothing more than a learning opportunity or chance to do better. Adam, any closing thoughts?
Uh, yeah, just kind of like what you said, it's not the end of a world if you lose a product. There's so many different options out there. And I told, one of my agents over the weekend, I think it could be a blessing in disguise, because maybe you were focused on one product for a long time, and there's a lot of people that maybe you've talked to about adding coverage that maybe wouldn't qualify for additional coverage, or maybe it would have been modified and they couldn't afford it. That now you just have more opportunities. Open up your book to other opportunities that are out there, and you're going to end up writing a lot more business. So yeah, look at it as a blessing. If anything, yeah, it sucks, products not out there, people are out of jobs, but the great thing about being independent is that we can just keep going and move forward. And we got to pull one tool out of the toolbox, not going to be able to be used anymore, but that's okay. There'll be more to put in the future.
Well said. On that note, just keep pushing. There's going to be more to this domino that drops. I don't think this is going to be the end of it. I think there will be more coming behind it, but we'll continue to persevere. If you survived COVID, you can survive a few carriers coming off the market. And if you didn't, well, here's your new industry-wide challenge that you'll absolutely overcome if you choose to. Thanks for watching.